Facebook will be on. Oh, boom, there's Facebook. I hope you guys are each having a fantastic day. Tonight, we're diving into a bit more within the exercise realm of dieting and specifically talking about when should you add cardio during a diet. So without further ado, let's run or jump or skip right in. Okay, I digress. I'll save the corny humor for later. Now, the first thing we need to discuss is that when we add cardio to a dieting phase, we need to understand why we're doing that or what the purpose is. The purpose of adding additional cardiovascular activity is to further increase your energy expenditure. And the reason we want to do this is that by further increasing our energy expenditure, we can help contribute to the calorie deficit we desire. So let me give you an arbitrary example. Let's say, for instance, your baseline calorie intake before dieting is 2,000 calories per day. When you begin your diet, you reduce it to 1,700 calories per day. Well, when your weight begins to plateau a few weeks later, that 1,700 calories baseline you're currently at, that has become your new baseline. So rather than reducing food again, you may consider adding cardio. And what cardio does is help to further create that calorie deficit. And for instance, let's say you add 30 minutes of moderate intensity steady state cardio and you burn 350 calories. Well, now you've recreated a deficit, but you haven't had to reduce food. And as we get further into a diet, this becomes invaluable because portions begin to shrink and, let's be honest, hunger and irritability begin to skyrocket. We want to maintain as much food for as long as possible when dieting. And implementing cardio strategically and appropriately is a valuable tool we can use to get this done. Now, there are a few factors we need to discuss when determining when, if at all, you should add cardio. And the first thing we need to look at is, what does a week of training look like for you? If you're currently already training 6 or 7 days per week, I do not recommend starting your diet with an additional session or two of cardio. When are you going to recover? As food portions begin to dwindle as you progress further during your diet, you're going to have less and less fuel to actually help your body recover. This is going to lead to paltry performance, increased hunger, potentially muscle breakdown, and just a suboptimal outcome for what you're trying to accomplish. Conversely, if you're only training 3, 4, maybe 5 days per week, you do have room for cardio, so to speak, and plenty of it. However, we do not need to begin the dieting phase by A, subtracting calories, and B, adding cardio. What you need to do first is solely focus on the nutrition. Because if you can push through your entire dieting phase with manageable portions as you diligently reduce them, why add cardio if you don't have to? Remember, at the end of the day, this diet is short-term, and we want to approach both the nutrition and the exercise in a sustainable manner with the long-term in mind. If you go gung-ho, adding 3, 4, 5, 6 cardio sessions per week, you need to ask yourself, is that sustainable? Are you going to be able to keep that up after the dieting phase, even if you have a tentative plan to slowly reduce it? The answer is going to depend on who you are, but it's not going to be that fun keeping up with 4 to 6 weightlifting sessions per week and 4 to 6 cardio sessions per week. So here's what I recommend. You approach your diet with a nutrition change only from the get-go. After you stall, which will happen anywhere from 2 to 4 weeks, make another nutrition adjustment. Then carry that out, continue cruising, crushing consistency, and once you hit your second plateau, that is a time when you can consider bringing in additional cardio, either in conjunction with another reduction in calories or even in place of another reduction in calories. So let me give you again another arbitrary example to connect the dots to give you a real world example. We've got client A, 2,000 calories during her maintenance phase. We drop her down to 1,700 calories to diet. All goes swimmingly. She loses a couple pounds. Boom, hits a plateau. So we further reduce calories. Now let's say we're eating 1,400 calories per day. Again, weight loss continues to move. We lose a few more pounds, and now 1,400 calories per day just isn't doing it. It turns out that that is now her new weight maintenance amount of calories per day. Well, we could reduce calories even further, maybe to 1,200 or 1,100. Let's assume this is a very small-statured woman to begin with. Or we could begin increasing the number of calories she burns during the week by increasing her energy expenditure via the cardio. Now, doing that is going to create the calorie deficit again that is needed to drive weight loss and will hopefully jumpstart the downward trend on the scale again. And it's important that you give your body adequate time to adjust to this new calorie deficit. Don't just do a cardio session, see if the scale remains fairly stagnant, and then drop calories. No, you need to be patient. I mean, we know sustainability is one of the principles of dieting, but also patience. So this is where patience comes into play. Now, to give you an example of what you may add for cardio is you may add 2 25-minute sessions of moderate intensity cardio. You may add 1 25-minute session and 1 interval session. The type of cardio you're going to do, the duration, the frequency, well, that's beyond the scope of this video. I will do a video on this very topic in the near future. But another approach you can take is simply going to use a machine or mode of your choice and targeting X number of calories. Someday maybe it takes you 22 minutes, the other day maybe it takes you 24, but you're still hitting that number so you can track consistently across the board to best assess your progress and to best assess the next steps. And what I recommend is at least getting enough cardio in. And again, keeping in mind that some of the estimations on the watches, the Fitbits, the machines themselves are highly, highly inaccurate and very unreliable, but choose a method that is available to you and just stick with it, because at least in that case, you'll have consistency in place. And then when you do that, aim for at least an additional 500 calories of energy expenditure during a 7-day period, and then just stay the course on your nutrition plan. Stay patient, reassess your weight trend, your weight average at the end of the week as you move forward, and then move forward accordingly. Your next adjustment might come in the form of both a calorie reduction and an increase in cardio. But make sure you give cardio its full time, preferably 2 weeks to do its thing before making yet again another reduction in calories, because that far into your diet, portions are very, very small and you're really hungry, so we don't want to reduce food even further because that could lead to an off-track day, an off-track weekend, an off-track weekend, backtracking to say the least. Questions, comments, concerns, let me know. Send me a message below. Instagram, send me a direct message. And again, in the future, I will further dissect low and moderate intensity cardio versus high intensity interval training, the whens, the whys, the hows, the how oftens, so you have a better idea of how to add this valuable tool and the right tool to your puzzle as you navigate your dieting phase. Thank you as always for joining tomorrow night. Wednesday, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time, we will specifically be discussing the one food that needs to be off limits when you're dieting. You're not going to want to miss that. I'll see you tomorrow night.